Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video, I will be showing you a Terraform project based on a real world scenario. So as you can see on the screen right now, I have the architectural diagram of the project that we are going to deploy today. So in this project, what we are going to do, we are going to have a Docker file which will be used to build a container image. Then we will go to AWS Elastic Container Registry Service or ECR, wherein we will create an ECR repository and we'll be pushing our container image to ECR. Then we will go to Elastic Container Service, ECS. There we are going to create an ECS cluster. Within the cluster, we will be creating an ECS service, and the service is going to create an ECS task. The task is going to pull the image from ECR repository that we have already created, and we have our image uploaded as well. So ECS task is going to use this image to pull, and it's going to create an ECS task, which is basically a container running in AWS. And then this image or this application is a front-end application, so we'll be accessing the application via an application load balancer. So we'll be integrating an ALB as well with this ECS task, so the users will be able to access our application via ALB. And this entire step, the entire workflow steps are going to be completely automated via Terraform. Okay, other things in this project is I'm going to use CloudWatch so that our ECS task can forward the logs to CloudWatch. In case we run into any issues, we will have access to the logs as well. Also, I will show you a way by which your ECS task can pull secrets or any sensitive information from Secrets Manager and use it within the application if it is your use case. So this is completely optional, but you can still do so. So I'm going to show you that part as well. And in this project, I'm using the default VPC in my AWS account. Okay, so within my AWS account, within US East 1 region, I will be using an availability zone. Within the availability zone, I will be deploying my ECS task in a public subnet. Okay, you can use any VPC. So I'm using default VPC, but if you want, you can create your own custom VPC and deploy all the resources in a private subnet in your custom VPC. Okay, but I just want to show you how you can automate the entire workflow. VPC IDs and subnet IDs can change if it needs to. Okay, so the users are going to access the application via the application load balancer. Okay, so as I mentioned, the application is a front-end application, and when you deploy it successfully, you will see a real-world application, something like this. It's going to be like a travel website that you can deploy. Okay, so this is going to be the application. Okay, I'm going to show you a demo as well, how to deploy this type of application. Okay, so yeah, this is all about the project overview. This is the architectural diagram. So if I want to summarize the solution that we are trying to deploy as part of this project, so we have an ECR repository where we can create different versions of our container image with the right type of tagging that you want to use. We can also integrate this project with CI, which means that we can create a CI pipeline so that any new image that you push to ECR, it can be picked up by our ECS task and create a new container out of it. So this step I'm going to show you in some other video, but we can integrate this as well with this solution. Okay, then as part of this project or this video, I'm going to show you an ECS Fargate task, which is going to be deployed via service resource. And since we are using Fargate, we do not have to manage any container hosts. Okay, and as part of our ALB configuration here, we'll be getting a target group and a listener as well, which is going to route HTTP traffic to tasks, and it's going to perform health checks as well to ensure that the requests from the users are only going to be routed to the healthy targets behind the application load balancer. Then we'll be using an IAM execution role with our ECS task. Okay, and it's going to have the access to pull secrets from Secrets Manager. Okay, so we do not have to write anything which is sensitive in plain text code, so we don't have to hard code anything. We can pull the information from our Secrets Manager via our ECS task as well using the IAM execution role. Then, as I mentioned, we are going to have CloudWatch logs also configured for our ECS tasks. So if anything goes wrong, we can always troubleshoot using these logs. And we're going to create a security group and the right type of network config as well, uh, so that we can ensure that all the required network connectivity for this project is established. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, all the steps are going to be completely automated via Terraform. Okay, so here I've mentioned all the steps, okay, so that you also can follow along. And yeah, so let's try to do the demo now. So I'm using Visual Studio Code here, and if I want to run through the Terraform files as well, just to make you aware what exactly I'm doing in these TF files. So we are going to create ECR repository first. Okay, I'm using a locals tags here. So whatever information there that these are going to be used for naming conventions and some additional tags with my resources. As you can see here, I'm using local.env underscore suffix, which means local.env underscore suffix suffix, then lower var.environment. Okay, and the value of var.environment is going to come from the dev.tf vars. As you can see, environment is dev, and variable I've already defined in variables.tf. Okay, so variable environment is coming from here. Okay, and var.environment, the value of this is coming from here, from dev.tfr. So this is going to be the file that will be used in the dev environment. And similarly, you can deploy the entire Terraform code in multiple environments, stage in production as well, and that's how we do in real world also. So yeah, let's go back to main.pf. So this is going to be our ECR repository. Okay, the name is going to be ECR-web-dev in our case, because the value of this variable is dev. Then I'm going to use a null resource. Okay, because after I get the ECR repository, I want to build the container image from the Docker file that I have, and I'm going to be logging into the ECR repository using the standard ECR commands that you get from the UI. Okay, so all those commands are mentioned here, and to run these commands I need a shell. Okay, so for that I'm using this local exec provisioner. Okay, so that I get the shell and I can run all these commands in sequence. So as you can see, I'm going to be logging to my ECR repository. Okay, then I'm going to build the image, I'm going to tag the image, and then I'm going to push the image to this repository. So all the steps have been completely automated. And I'm also using a depends on property here, so that I'm ensuring that ECR repository is built successfully. Only then this step should be performed or executed, else there may be some failures while running Terraform apply command. Okay, then I'm using CloudWatch log group, so that my ECS tasks are going to send the logs to this log group. So in case of any issues, I can always troubleshoot. IAM role for ECS task execution. So as I mentioned, my ECS task is going to assume an IAM role. Okay, so here I'm specifying that configuration. Okay, so this is where I'm going to create the IAM role using the resource block, and then I am generating this ECS task assume role policy, so that my task is able to assume the role. And then I'm specifying another permission. So this is the standard Amazon managed IAM policy that you can attach to the ECS task. Okay, and then I'm using another data block to generate the permission to allow my ECS task to retrieve the information from a secret. So I have a secrets already created in my Secrets Manager in my AWS account. So my ECS task using this permission will be able to pull the value, or pull the secrets from my Secrets Manager in my AWS account. So I'm generating this policy document that I'm going to attach, okay, as part of this policy. Okay, so here I'm using this data block to generate this permission, and this permission is going to be attached as part of this resource to the ECS task execution role. Okay, and then so this is where I'm getting the IAM policy using this permission, and here I'm attaching this policy to the ECS task execution role. Okay, so this is how these things are related. Okay, so as you can see, so this is one policy that I want to attach apart from this AWS managed ECS task policy. I also want to generate this policy and then attach it to, I'm going to generate this permission, attach to this policy, and then attach to the role that I'm using with my ECS task. Okay, so here I'm creating the security group for the ECS task. Okay, and here I'm specifying all the access on the outbound interface. Okay, and I'm getting another resource for the ingress rule. Okay, so here I'm allowing a port 80 on the inbound of this of the ECS task security group. Okay, and then I'm specifying the ECS cluster that I'm going to create as part of this project. Okay, so within the cluster you're going to create your ECS service and your task. Okay, so after ECS cluster, I'm getting the application load balancer that is going to be used to access this front-end application. Okay, I'm specifying all the relevant tags and other properties. I'm also specifying the security group. Okay, so I'm using a security group which I've already created here. As you can see, I'm using var.alb underscore sg underscore id. So this value is going to come from here. Okay, so all these values in dev.tfrs are going to be different for you. Okay, you can keep this as it is, but VPC ID, public subnets, the security group IDs, these things you have to change. Okay, even this secret as well. So here I'm using an existing secret that I've already created in my account. Similarly, you have to use the ARN of the secret that you have created in your AWS account. Okay, so this value is going to be different. So ensure that you are changing all these values, else you're going to see failure while applying Terraform apply command. Okay, so this is about the application load balancer. Okay, here I'm getting the target group as part of my ALB configuration. Here I'm specifying the health check configuration. I'm adding some tags. Here I'm specifying the listener configuration. Okay, and then at the end I'm going to create the ECS task. Okay, the task is going to use a few parameters that I've already defined in dev.tfrs. As you can see, CPU and memory information especially. Okay, and image tag I'm using a latest. It can be any tag. Again, you can change it to something else if you want to. Okay, and I'm going to have one task only, so I'm specifying it here under desired underscore count. Okay, and here I'm specifying the port mappings. So on which port I'm going to expose this container application. So it's going to be port 80. Okay, and then I'm also using secrets, as I mentioned. This is completely optional, but I just want to show you how you can pass any secrets to your ECS task. So you can use this block to pass the value, and within that the name of your secret key is going to be app underscore secret. So if I just show you in my AWS account, so this is the secret. Okay, app underscore secret, and here you can retrieve the value and check app underscore secret underscore key. Okay, the value is okay. So this is the name of the secret that I'm using, app underscore secret. Okay, within that the value is going to come from var dot app underscore secret underscore ARN. So here I'm specifying the ARN of the secret. Okay, so this is how the value is being pulled from my secret manager to here. Then for the log configuration, I'm specifying that I'm going to create a log group. Okay, and log stream prefix is going to be ECS. So within the log group, you need to AWS CloudWatch stream as well. So I'm using a prefix ECS. Region is going to be where regions is going to be US East 1 in my case, but you can choose any other region of your choice. Okay. Then here I'm specifying the name of the CloudWatch log group, which I've already created as part of the Terraform configuration here in main.tf. As you can see, if you scroll up, you can check the log group configuration was already created. Here. Okay, so I'm using this same value. So I'm passing the name of this resource here. Here, okay, and then at the end I'm specifying the service. Okay, so this service is going to be managing your ECS task. Okay, so I'm specifying the standard parameters only. Okay, all the things I've already created just before this. So I'm just trying to pass all those values here to create the ECS service. Okay, here one more thing I want to specify. I'm creating this service in the public subnet in the default VPC, but if you want, I've given you the option. If you want to keep it private in a custom VPC, you can specify the private subnet IDs here, and then you can use this value to pass here as well. Okay, so here you can just change it to where dot private underscore subnets, and you can pass the value of the subnet IDs here, the private subnet IDs here. Okay, it's completely optional, it's up to you, but I'm using the default VPC here, so I'm using the public subnets within the default VPC. Okay, and then I'm specifying two security groups here. As you can see, I'm specifying the security group that I created as part of this Terraform configuration, but I'm also adding additional security group app underscore sg underscore id, which is coming from dev.tf vars file, this one. Okay, so I'm using two security groups here, but it is completely optional. Okay, if you want, you can ignore this, you can just comment it out, and you can remove this value from here, and you can only use the security group that you just created as part of this main.tf file. And then I'm going to be in this ECS service with load balancer, so I'm specifying all that configuration, and I'm also specifying the depends on property, because I want the load balancer listener to come up, and I also want the ECR image to be created beforehand. Okay, so that I don't see any failures here. Okay, so that's all about this code. Okay, you can go through it line by line. If you still don't understand anything, you can always reach out to me. Okay, and I'm going to answer all your queries. Okay, apart from that, also, if I just show you, I'm using the standard provider configuration for AWS, specifying a version. I'm using some variables. Okay, you can go through it. All the variables are already I just showed you in main.tf also, so all the variables are passed there. I'm using locals for the naming convention and tags. I'm using the data block for specifying which account, which local IAM identity I'm going to use. Okay, so I'm going to use the current identity. Then outputs.tf is to have the names of the resources that you've created as part of your configuration. Okay, yeah, and rest main.tf dev.tf vars I've already explained. All right, now let's try to deploy the project. So for that, I'm going to do Terraform init. It's going to initialize the Terraform, and it's going to download the plugin if not downloaded already. So I got the error when I ran Terraform init initially, but when I did it again, I was able to successfully initialize Terraform. Now next is I'm going to use Terraform plan command, and as I mentioned, I'm going to use a var file. Okay, so this file is going to be different for each environment. Here I'm specifying for the dev environment. Similarly, you can use for other environments as well. Okay, so as you can see, plan 15 to add, 0 to change, 0 to destroy. So now let's try to apply it. apply. So I'm going to apply this configuration using the where file, and I'm using auto approve so that I don't have to approve it again. So this is going to take some time, like 5 to 10 minutes. So I'll be back when it's done. So as you can see, Terraform apply completed successfully. I had a failure because I did not have the front end directory in my current directory where I was running the command. So it failed once, but as soon as I copied the directory to the current working directory and then reran the command, it ran successfully. So now I'm able to completely automate all the steps of this project, and I'm able to create all the resources via Terraform. Okay, so after this completes, you will get these outputs. So here you can just copy this name. This is the application load balancer DNS endpoint, and you can try to open it in the browser, and you should be able to see your application running. Okay, so this is a containerized application running as an ECS task in AWS. Okay, so you can see the application was deployed successfully. If you want to verify all the resources, you can go to your AWS account and you can verify all the resources. Go to repositories and you can see repository, and within the repository you will see one image with the latest tag. Okay, also if you go to clusters, your ECS cluster, hit refresh and you will see the new cluster running. If you click on the cluster, you can check the service created. Within the service, if you go to tasks, you can check the task created. Okay, the task was created. Okay, and the task is in running status, which we want. Okay, and logs, you can see the logs are being generated as well. Okay, and let's click on view in CloudWatch. So here you can find the name of the log group ECS-web-dev, and within that you have log streams. Okay, here you can find all the logs of your ECS task. Okay, so everything is working as expected. I also wanted to show you how the task is using Secrets Manager. Okay, so it's going to pull the information. So let's go to our services. Let's go to preparation. So you can go to tasks, click on the task here, and here you can click on environment variables. Okay, and here you can find it was able to pull the value from the secret as well. Okay, so I wanted to show you, if you have some information in your secrets that you want to pull in your ECS task, you can just try to configure it, and here you can check the detail. Okay, so it was able to pull the value, whatever it was in my secret, from there to here, as you can see. Okay, so this is, so this is how you can pass the environment. I mean, you can have the IAM permission configured for your ECS task so that it is able to pull your secrets from your secrets manager in AWS. Okay, so everything is working as expected. Okay, all the things are created. We can also see the website running. Okay, it's a container application running behind an application load balancer. You can also check the load balancer also if you want. You can go to EC2 service, go to load balancer section, and you can check the load balancer. So just scroll to load balancers, and here you can find the name of the load balancer as well. Okay, so this is the load balancer which is serving our ECS task container. All right, so that's all I wanted to show in this video. I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, any queries, you can reach out to me in the comment section. I'm going to answer all your queries. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to cover in this video, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye for now.